Both Lando and Oscar will be accidental champions. I don't see either as a worthy champion. You see, everybody, there's a lot of races, and now this is post Baku. And if you, admittedly, if you came down from Mars or Jupiter or Saturn or any of these great planets, and you watched your first Formula One race, you wouldn't think, and then it was Baku, you wouldn't think Oscar Piastri, world championship points leader. You wouldn't think Lando Norris, the guy that might beat him to the championship. But it's only one race. Give him a break. And I think, this will be, as I said, after Monza, we need to wait for Baku to see whether or not the Red Bull pace is real, whether that floor is going to work on a different sort of circuit. It does, and so therefore we can say the pace is real. Red Bull have a lot more pace now than they've had all year. They're much closer to McLaren than they've ever been. I still think McLaren's the best car, but Red Bull's not far away. McLaren probably a little bit more consistent, more drivable still, probably a little bit better on its tyres. But I think you could also say that Singapore's coming up next. And before we jump on Oscar's back, let's see how he goes in Singapore, because he could be the sort of driver, and I think he is, because he's got this sort of laconic Frank Gardner, Jack Brabham, Australian. Yeah, okay, well, that was Baku. Let's move on, mate. And I think he'll use Baku to be brilliantly good around Singapore. That's my gut feeling, and I think he could go have a great race in Singapore. But we'll see. It's the McLaren will be a great car around there. It didn't start well for him with that long delay in FP1. And I'm assuming when I say that about Singapore, that he doesn't have a similar delay there, or have to let some young guy drive the car for him, because on a street circuit, even if it's green and even if you're second off your own pace because it's green and you're just finding your way, letting the track come to you, it's still good stuff to have. It's still good road dust to have as you're moving forward into FP2, FP3 with fuel maybe. All those things build up on a street circuit more than a normal circuit. And Oscar didn't have that. It was mitigated a bit by that business in FP1 when they had the curbs breaking up, and I think it was 27 minutes or something when the track was stopped. It was red. And that mitigated the problem he had, because by the time the track was open again, he was there in the pit lane queue ready to go out. So it could have been worse for him. But I think that put him a little bit behind the 8-ball, and then he's a bit oversteery. He's looked more and more oversteery than he has at earlier races. So we'll see whether that is a bit more contained around Singapore. We'll see. As for Lando, I'm not going to put words into his mouth because sadly he's no longer with us. But I know if James Hunt had been doing the TV commentary for Baku, I'm pretty sure if James is doing the TV commentary for Baku, he would have been very, very critical of Lando Norris's drive. Lack of fire, lack of aggression, lack of wanting to take advantage of a situation in which both Ferraris were slow, as slow as he was, but he should have got well away from them. He should have beaten Yuki Tsunoda. I can hear James saying that, and so on, and he didn't do any of that stuff. And it's very easy to say, well, difficult to overtake. He was in a McLaren. He wasn't in even a Red Bull. Certainly wasn't in a Sauber or a Williams. He was in a McLaren, and that's a good car. It's a very, very good car. And I think Lando just kind of, because he's not a short corner driver, he wasn't really doing a lot different from those around him. He was probably seeing Charles doing a little bit, but once Charles got him at the restart, which was Lando half asleep, obviously. I'm sure he was looking at what Charles was doing in the car. He was probably just thinking, oh, what a mistake. I need to get past this guy. And he beat both Ferraris, but it was tough going. And that more than Oscar, I think, was not a good drive. It doesn't, it's one race. There's so many races though. Should that have a bearing on whether he's a worthy world champion? I don't know. It's how you perceive world champions, I think. Depends what you mean by worthy world champion as well, because in the old days, my days, I suppose I should say, a world champion was not only considered worthy based on how he'd won his championship and the races he drove, he was also considered worthy based on how he was going to be an ambassador for the sport, particularly over the winter. of what he was going to do for charity, how he was going to visit various places and represent the sport as the leading figure of Formula One. That seems to have gone away now. People don't really care what they do over the winter, and being an ambassador for the sport no longer is considered to be part of the world champion's makeup. But I think that's sad. I think the world champion should consider himself to be an ambassador. And one of the duties always was to write the forward to auto course. Looking forward to that very much. And then what about the days when Ayrton Senna used to fly on his own expense and his own bill, used to fly to Bologna to go to the Autosprint magazine Golden Helmet Awards because he just loved Autosprint magazine, he liked the Autosprint guys. That doesn't happen anymore either, does it, that sort of thing? Strange.